In this video, I'm going to go through the 8 crops I will never grow again and tell you the juicy details of why. I'll also talk about the 3 that I previously swore off, but now that we've moved to a new climate, I might try again. Hey, I'm Brian with Next Level Gardening. If you're looking to join an online garden community that offers tips, tricks, and support to help take your garden to the next level, you're in the right place. Get started now by clicking subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss anything. Now let's get growing. I want to know some crops that you've grown that you'll never grow again and why, so please leave those in the comments. I heard from a lot of you when I mentioned that I was going to grow goji berries last year, and I got a ton of comments warning me about the invasiveness of the plant, so I never even started the seeds and probably never will. I've got enough work to do around here without having to deal with invasive species that I may or may not even like. But I'm not including that in the 8 in this video because I've never actually grown it myself. So on to crops I have grown and will never grow again. Number 1, beans for drying. I've grown pinto, northern white, and black-eyed peas or cowpeas. And I had, for instance, pinto beans, and I got enough for 2 small meals. Green beans, you eat the pod, so it's a little hardier, they go further. Plus, it's a lot of work shelling them. It takes forever, and then they're eaten so quickly, which isn't really a reason to not grow something, but they don't taste any better than store-bought, and you can get organic dried beans in the store for pretty cheap. So for those reasons, I'm not doing it again. Number 2 is bitter melon. I mean, it says it right in the name, but I was seduced by these pictures from the Baker Creek catalog. They looked so cool. I mean, have you ever seen anything that gleaming white of a fruit? Maybe an eggplant, but I just had to try it. And I got 1 whole fruit. And that was okay because it was awful. They're supposed to be this superfood, so I was really optimistic, and it was an utter disappointment, which, like I said, was my fault. It said bitter in the name, but oh well. And yes, I cooked it too. Number 3 is spinach. I've tried to grow spinach for years, and I've given it my all. I've tried everything. It either starts as a seedling or a transplant and just sits there and grows so slowly through the winter, and then just as it starts to speed up, it gets too warm and it bolts. So I have given them up completely. I've mentioned this before, and you guys told me to grow Malabar spinach, and that's number 4. To be fair, it does have a bit of a spinach flavor, but the texture, I mean, it's like chewing on rubber. It's so succulent-like. It just was a major turnoff. I love the way it looked covering the teepee for the first couple of months at least, and then it overwhelmed the teepee and basically tore it down. It's so heavy because of the succulent nature and all the water that are stored in the stems and the leaves. And it was really hard to manage and drag it out of the garden. And as I dragged it out of the garden, seeds were spreading everywhere. And I was pulling up Malabar spinach until we moved. And now it's probably a gift for the new owners. So I'll never grow it again. Number 5 is Cucamelon. I tried growing these 2 years in a row. They're kind of like they look like miniature watermelons, but I could never get them past the seedling stage. I don't think the weather got hot enough where we used to live to grow them successfully. We've since moved to an area with hotter summers, but from what I've heard from others, this is more of a cute novelty miniature watermelon looking thing than an actual good tasting fruit. If you've grown cucamelons, let me know what you think in the comments. Number 6 is kohlrabi. So this one I have grown successfully a few times, but for the amount of time it takes to develop and mature and harvest, and the amount of space it takes up during that time with its large leaves, I just didn't think it was worth it. I found myself trying to find ways to use it, and I felt that broccoli stems were a good substitute, and with broccoli stems, I get the florets as well. So why not just plant more broccoli instead of kohlrabi? It's not that it was bad, it just kind of seemed redundant. Number 7, in the same family, brassicas, Brussels sprouts. Now, I like Brussels sprouts, but for me, there are too many downsides versus the upsides in growing it myself. Whenever I've grown them, they take forever. They're huge leaf plants, so they take up a lot of garden real estate, and they are aphid magnets. every time I've grown them, there are so many aphids I can barely keep up. Last year we were at our old house. I did, through some companion planting, nasturtiums for one, I kept them fairly aphid free. But for all the other reasons, I won't grow them again. However, with this one, I do reserve my right to change my mind in the future. Number 8 is purple sprouting broccoli. This one I won't change my mind on. I've grown these for the last 4 or 5 years and only got a meager harvest one time last year. And only because I left them in the ground until May. At my last house, space was more limited and these are huge plants, and planting them in the fall, they grew all winter here in our mild winter climate. And then all the regular broccoli produced and were taken out, ready to be replaced in March or April with summer crops. But there was the purple sprouting broccoli just sitting there, taking up space, doing nothing. So I had to take it out because I needed the space for summer crops. When we came here, I tried it once more, since I had a temporary fall garden set up while the new vegetable garden was being built. So I had the luxury of letting them, sit there and do their thing. And after 9 months in the ground, I got a few minuscule, wee little heads. It was such an anticlimactic moment. Never again. Okay, so that was my 8. Now for 3, I swore off in the past, but now that I've moved to a warmer summer climate, I might try again. At our last house, the average summer high was 77 degrees. Here, the average summer high is 83. Now, of course, there are days when the temps reach 100, but according to the data online, 83 is average. In the cool summer of my old house, things like melons and okra did not thrive. Okra did okay, but when I tried growing watermelon a few times, I did a tasting video with Noah a couple years ago.
Da-da-da.
Well,
Not the best.
it's a little bit pale, as I thought it might be because of our temperatures, but we're gonna try to taste it and see. I've never had a sugar. It smells good. 1, 2, 3.
It's actually not bad.
It doesn't taste as bad as it looks. It's not as sweet as I would like, and it just doesn't get hot enough there. And so watermelon would be one that I definitely would try here and expect better results. Another was yard-long beans. I grew them a couple of times at the old house, and as soon as I started to harvest the first beans, which I loved actually, by the way, they would start to get diseased and die. And we had more humidity there also. We were closer to the ocean than we are here, so that may have been part of the problem. So I'm hoping to try again here with more success. And then the last one is the habanada pepper. If you've been with me for several years, you know how many times I tried and failed. I'm not a fan of hot peppers, but I love the flavor of habaneros, just not the heat. So the habanada was the answer. It was the habanada flavor without the heat. Except I could not grow it from seed to save my life. Was it the cool temperatures? I don't know, but I will give it a try again now that we've moved. So let me know what you think of my choices in the comments. Add your own choices there. And as always, I would so appreciate it if you would give the video a thumbs up, consider subscribing, share it with a gardening friend, and I'll see you next time.